Today we're going to continue on with our catalogs controller, and specifically we're going to look at what goes in that if statement where the users actually gave us a search term. So in this if statement we have param search. Now if they gave us a search term, then of course we're going to use it. We're going to do a query or product search params search. And if you're wondering where the search function comes from, and you guessed that it comes from SearchKick, the gem that we installed a few episodes back, then you are more than correct. This where statement will also allow us to do a little bit of filtering. So we're going to do a where, so we're going to use the location that we found, and we're going to use the symbol near and plug in all the variables that we defined above. So this above if and else statement where we defined our latitude, longitude, this is where we use those variables. So we're going to use the longitude and latitude, and we're going to say within let's say 25 kilometers. So anywhere near this user's coordinates within 25 kilometers are where the products must be. And the expiry date greater than time now, and that pretty much translates to that these items that we want must not be expired. So the next thing we gotta do is we're gonna do an available quantity, because aside from not being expired, we want items that actually are for sale, and that what I mean is that they are not all bought out already. So we want items that still can be bought. So that's the where statement where we filter by location, by expiry date, and by available quantity, because what use is an item that is listed in the United Kingdom when you're living in Canada, right? So that's what it's for. So this page params page is simply, if you guessed pagination, then yes, you are correct. That's what it's for. So that's our query. Now we're going to assign that result to our org products variable. So if we do query.results, then what happens here is we will assign results to org products. And that's that. Now we're gonna have another if statement in this show, and it's gonna check if current org person, because you don't have to be signed in to search, but if you are signed in, then we're gonna check if you did anything offline. So let's check if the user did anything offline and filled up their session card. So pretty much for services like Amazon, you could buy things offline or when you're not signed in. And when you sign in, then they automatically take what you've put in your checkout in your cart, and they put that in your checkout for when you have signed in. So that's the kind of behavior that we want to replicate. So we're gonna do a cart session. So if there was already anything in the session, because we're carrying, because when the user is not signed in, then we can't put anything in our database for that user. So we're gonna track what they want to buy in a session, so that when they sign in, we're gonna take what's in their session and put it in the cart. So if the cart is not nil, that means if there was something in the session, then we're gonna loop through that cart. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create each item in the session cart, and we're gonna create that in the database and attach that to the current user. So let's just put an end to the cart just in case we forget. And this if statement also needs an end. So that's good so far. Now we're just going to do a cart.create. Now we haven't created the carts controller yet. That is something that we gotta do in one of the next videos, but actually it's great homework for you guys, so I would recommend you to go ahead and create that after this video. So we're gonna create that in the next video, but right now we're going to define everything that we need in the cart. And if you're wondering why we're doing a C1 and then the key, well, for me, though, that's something that I never even figured out. Actually, we just had some really weird formatting for when I actually looped through the items. So I had to do a C1 to actually get the results, and then the key to actually get the right answer to the keys. So we're gonna do our ID, our title, our price. I'm just going to copy from my notes. Our price, our grocers, our quantity, the weight in grams, and the expiry date. Let's just space this out good. And after that, after we created each item in our cart and saved it to the database, now after this loop finishes, all the items that were in our cart when we were not signed in are now recorded in our database and attached to our username that we've signed in with. So after that, we want to retrieve all their items. So we'll do a cart where org person ID is the current org person ID, because now that we've attached all of the items to the current user, we could do a cart where the org person ID is equal to our ID. Now we're going to turn the the results of the cart to an array. Then we're going to clear out our session cart. So we'll do a session cart equals nil. That will clean out the session cart. And that's pretty much the code for when we have a signed-in user. Now, if we don't have a signed-in user, then this is where we start with a session. So let's just put a comment here saying no registered user. Then we'll start with a session. So cart to ors equals, and you could Google what that means. Session cart if the cart is nil. So what this does is it makes sure that the cart is a hash no matter what. So we're gonna, if cart is nil, then we're just gonna build this new cart hash or hash new, because the template needs a hash or else it'll throw an error. Now after that, if the org products, if we find that it's empty, then we're just gonna do a flash now saying that there is no results from your search, so it tells you to try again. So that's pretty much it. To do a recap, the user has given us a search term, and using org product search, we look for items that fulfill that search term. We assign the results, the query results, to org products variable, and then we check whether the user is signed in, because if they're signed in, we want to attach those items to we want to save those items to a cart and attach them to the user. If they're not signed in, then we're just going to save those items to a cart. The user will always need to be signed in to check out and buy the items. So in every single case, we're going to have to do this if statement where the items get transferred to a cart, we save it to a cart, we attach it to the user, and that's just the behavior that we want. If we didn't find anything, If you didn't find anything, then we're just gonna flash an org products empty, saying that there are no results in the search and telling them to try again. And we need this here because if we enter the if statement and they don't have anything, then we want to show that warning. If there was no search term at all, then we just don't display anything. We just jump into this else statement saying that the search was empty, so we give nothing. So that's pretty much it for the catalogs controller. We're completely done with it. If you have any more questions or comments, then you can leave it in the comment box and I'll try my best to answer them and make it clear. Other than that, I hope you learned something. Please rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.